Ooh, yeah. What's up, everybody? This is the Riz Pod. It has begun. Featuring yours truly, Rizenhauer, the Great Poop Pawn. That's right, Rizenhauer is the name, and loving humanity is my game. Ladies and gentlemen, Rizeners and Rizenettes, I have a very, very special gift for you today. The Riz Pod is indeed expanding. We're trying to reach out and do bigger and better things and reach more people. And for that purpose, I've brought on more people. Hey, check it out. I know that you are used to the Rizenhauer pod, the Riz Pod being just me. But today and into the future, into the foreseeable future, the Riz Pod now has a co-host, co-anchor, co-star, whatever you like to call it. This dude is incredible, and he signed on to work with me on this series here. Give it up for the one and only, the incomparable John M. Laws. Yeah. Hey, John, real quick, can you tell all the Rizeners and Rizenettes out there a little bit about yourself? Just who are you as a person, man?
All right. My name is John. I'm primarily I'm a drummer. That's what I identify primarily most as. I'm a father, husband, brother, son, musician overall, and pretty chill dude, a rational thinker. So I think me and Mr. Rizenhauer will do a fantastic job of bringing you very, very informative content and humor, and as well as wisdom, I believe.
That's right. That's right. Yeah. John and I have we met each other playing in a group called the Unscripted. In that particular group, he plays the cajon. And he's primarily a set drummer, and I play the congas in that group, and I'm primarily a bassist, singer type of guy. But we come together in that group that's was put together by Mason Swab. A lot of people know that cat. Shout out to Mason.
Yeah.
And so it's a really cool experience because we just get together. We got a few drummers. And we also have a bass player, saxophone player, and a six-string player who we just all get together. We don't practice nothing, and we just get busy. And everybody's really up to snuff on their instruments to the point where it's pretty good stuff every time, and it's different stuff every time. That's what I like the most about it.
Right.
So John and I met through that. And we just started kicking it, and we're starting to make music together, and here we are making podcasts together.
Right.
But real quick, before we go any further, before we get into the stuff, the title of this one is Friday. We will be reviewing the classic movie Friday today. Before we get into that, there was a post you put up on Facebook earlier this week, and I really thought it was deep. It did, touch me, you know what I'm saying? And I want you to read that out because I think it gives the listeners a really good idea of what to expect from you.
Right.
So go ahead, take your time.
Okay. Well, this was a post kind of in response to some of the things that were going around in the nation, more specifically the Charlottesville, and with the Confederate statues being taken down, and the statues of slave profiteers to some degree being taken down. So I just made a post because I like to post things that were on my mind. So this is that post that we're talking about. And it starts off, says, so there are people I know who believe that those who are calling for statues to be taken down are doing so solely or majoritively because they are personally offended. That's one thought. There are also some who I'm familiar with who believe those calling for statues to be taken down do so because the people depicted in the statues were slave owners. My belief is America, in part, is still okay with racism. Although, strangely, those same people are not comfortable being called racists. Because of the origin of this country being what it is, it would be near impossible to remove all tributes to those who profited, participated willingly, or promoted slavery. Since it's my belief many in America are okay with racism, the removal of the statues couldn't be about removing the symbols of a celebrated, if not proud, tradition of progress made by oppressing the minorities. but it could be about actually making America as great as the founding fathers wished it to be, except this time for more people than land-owning white males.
Right.
Removing the statues is a step in the right direction, in my opinion, toward America healing wounds it inflicted on its own citizens. It's a physical act to remove the symbols of the psychological oppression piece used in white supremacy and in racism as a whole. It's akin to tearing down the statues of Saddam and removing his face from the currency in Iraq, the same as the storming of the Bastille in France and riots, as they call them, in communities of color in America throughout history, basically. To quote the artist In Vogue, free your mind and the rest will follow. Remove the psychological hold on the people and they will seek balance. That's how history goes. Those who are free but blind try to bind, and those who are bound but have sight try to free. Only the wise realize that those who are free are truly free indeed, and that freedom is infectious, so they try to spread it. And that was that post from that day.
Man, that is deep. And there's one part in there that really sticks out to me where you're saying, hey, the ideal of America is awesome, man. On paper, the ideal is awesome, especially when you're talking about expanding it. Correct. Hey, it's not a thing of let's turn it into America. No. Let's make it what it was on paper, but let's expand the idea. Right. And especially when you point out white land owning males, the first few drafts of the the Declaration of Independence is the right to equality. What was it?
Let's see.
Right, yeah, look it up. So, but I know there was a part where it was the pursuit of happiness.
Yeah, life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
Life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. And the pursuit of happiness was actually that was a minute that was put in, right? Because it was first the right to own land. Right. That's what they were saying. And so it's like, yo, man, America has been a commercial entity from day one. And what you get a lot of times when you start things off in dollars and saying, land owning and things like that, is you get oppression. Yeah. You know what I mean? Because it's like, hey, man, I want to keep my thing, away from them. And the easiest way to separate people is, of course, amongst skin color and nationalities and stuff like that. So that really, touched me when I read it, man. And just expound a little bit on what you were talking about.
Yeah, what I was basically getting at is, like you said, the ideal of what America should have been and could have been was a brilliant idea, and one that many people from England bought into because of that idea, because of the oppression they were going through, and because of what they thought that they wanted for their children and their children's children. So it was a great idea on paper. However, when and partially before they left there, the idea that in America the elite wouldn't be based on hierarchy, it'd be based on land ownership. So the early guys that came over here bought as much land, bought with quotes, as much land as they could, bought, right, as much land as they could, and secured as much land as they could. And what happened over here was the same thing that they transferred from over there, which was basically, you have a class system. Yep, and in the class system, what predominantly was the goal was if you weren't born to a certain type of family, or if you weren't born to a certain amount of privilege, then you wouldn't get the benefits that the other people would get. So in America, that same class system initially was going to be based on land ownership, and then they decided for whatever reason, like there's even a quote from Thomas Edison. I don't have it readily available, where he spoke about that. I believe that all men should be able to pursue happiness and freedom, but if I had my choice, I would rather than men of color wouldn't be part of that same group of men who pushed and were able to achieve those goals.
Yeah, I feel you, man. So just the maintenance of that hierarchy. Now, the other part of the statement you're saying is we have to start paying attention, and I think it's been only about 3 generations of people of color who have been vocal about the psychological, the messages that we get psychologically, not having representation on TV and movies and in popular culture and stuff like that, or the only representations being stereotypical or sellouts, etc., stuff like that. Right. presenting people a particular way, and what things like statues and flags actually do to people. Yeah, man, we're humans and we should be able to look past. Hey, man, at the end of the day, dude, if you're a brother that go to Robert E. Lee High School, it affects you on some level, and not even. And a lot of times it may be a subconscious level. Yeah, you know, and things like that. I've heard Dick Gregory say that we have to explain to our children what we mean. Yeah. A lot of black kids are raised on you have to be twice as good to be just as good, and he's saying like what the baby here is you dumb, or you only half as good, so you have to be twice as, instead of saying no, what we mean is that society views you a particular way, and the only way to fight that at this point is to do that. So expound on the psychological effects you say these things have. And
psychologically, it's the same. It's same to just what you said. If you're a young black dude who goes to Robert E. Lee high school or middle school or whatever the case may be, if you go back in history, his grandparents or great grandparents, not even that far into American history, have a story that they can readily relate to. Robert E. Lee. Robert E. Lee did this to your uncle or to your cousins, or all these people that fought on the side of the Confederacy or on the side of the North had to endure these things that were done by not just Robert E. Lee, but people who stood in those same Confederate positions, who then got monuments erected to them under the guise of history. So I mean, then for people to say, oh, we should be able to hug and get over it. It's easy for me to say you should get over it if I'm the one hitting you in the face.
Thank you.
It's very easy to say, like, hey man, let's move on, man. I hit you. It's kind of reminds you of the Charlie Murphy and Rick James thing. Yeah. Like, I punched you in the face. Like, that was weeks ago. I'm proud of you. Like, no, we not proud of you. That was today.
To me, it was today.
Right. That literally just happened.
Right. And so So getting over that. I thought that was a really deep statement, and I do stalk your Facebook, so it'll be a few more quotes in the future beautiful. That will we'll bring up and stuff like that. So hey man, welcome on to the podcast, John. Man, thank you so much for signing on to do this with me, agreeing to do it, and for y'all who don't know, John is the de facto sound man for the Riz and Howard pod. So that's why this particular pod sounds a lot better than the other ones. And it should get a little bit better as we go. Yeah. So, hey, real quick, I just want to shameless plug, some of our performances coming up soon next month, September 9th. The Unscripted will be playing at the Up and Under Pub, and that show starts at 10 o'clock, I believe. And I think, and he said, Mason said we could rock that till 2 a.m.
Oh, man, that's what's up.
So I was like, cool, man. September 9th, it's a free show. Come in. They got some drink specials and all that good stuff going on that night. And then September 10th, Astral Subastral is the group I'm in, and of course, you're always welcome, because this one's actually down the street from your house.
Word.
We're gonna be at the on September 10th, and I believe it starts at like 10 a.m.